this moment in time, you're currently under arrest for making off without payment. You don't have to say anything,
but I haven't made off.
You don't mention one question in the little line. Oh, anything you do is a negative evidence.
But I haven't made off, though.
For your arrest is a confidential investigation.
In this episode, an auditor stops at a petrol station to refuel and attempts to pay with a £20 coin issued by the Royal Mint, which is legal tender in the UK. However, the staff refused to accept it and called the police. Instead of resolving the situation calmly, the officers escalated and arrest the auditor, even though no crime has taken place. That decision later leads to legal consequences, as the auditor takes the case to court and receives a significant compensation payout.
Never seen them in my life.
So it's from the Royal Mint, so the same place that all legal tender comes from.
Have you got any other means of payment at the minute?
I don't know. Can I ask why you didn't tell me before you started recording?
So when we go to any incident, our tour of duty and our police protocol is to video every incident we go to achieve the best evidence.
But you've got to notify the person, or the first available opportunity.
No, we don't.
You do?
Yes, please. Have you got that from somewhere? Have you read that up somewhere? Or?
Yes, your policy. Yeah.
Okay. Well, at the minute, we're obviously videoing everything because we've been called to an incident. Immediate response where there's some ongoing issue with payment, whether it's a domestic...
999?
Well, that's what's coming as, yeah.
Wow.
Well, we just didn't know what was happening. There was an altercation in the shop, so we've arrived on that instance. Are you going to give me your name?
I'm not, no.
Right, okay. Because is there a reason for that?
Because it's a civil matter, and it's not something that the police can get involved in.
To a degree, you're right. It is a civil matter. But we can deal with it a different way, but obviously, ultimately, you haven't paid for your fuel.
From the beginning, the officer demonstrates she is unprepared for the situation. The auditor notices her body-worn camera and asks why she hasn't stated she is recording, as required by clear guidelines that officers must inform the public they are being recorded at the earliest opportunity. She denies this requirement exists. She then asks for his name, but this is not a criminal matter, it is a civil disagreement with the petrol station. There is no legal basis to demand identification when no offense has been committed. The officer either did not know this or chose to ignore it, which is unacceptable.
I have.
But they're not accepting that money.
But that's up to them to accept it. If they decline...
They've obviously run the post office and they've declined that. Ultimately, it's a civil issue, but if you're not willing to give us your details, then how do we know that you're going to resolve the civil issue at a later date? If you're happy to give us your details, then we can look at the civil issue at a later date.
But that's a civil issue. That's nothing for the police to get involved in.
But we don't know your details, do we? So you could technically escape from here and never come back and never deal with that issue. Then you'd be circulated as wanted for that, won't you? For making off without payment.
That's not a police issue at the minute.
It is. It is a police issue because you've not paid for fuel. So there's still an offence there of that you've not paid for your fuel.
But I have paid. I've gave them.
But you've gave them this coin. Yeah. Which ultimately they've spoke to the post office and they've decided that it's not a reasonable amount of payment for your fuel. So at the minute we're sort of hands are tied, yeah. Agree with you on a certain instance of that, but we still need a solution today, whether we take your details and we deal with it at a later date.
The officer admits this is a civil dispute, but then tries to claim she has the power to demand identification so they can resolve it later. That is not how policing works. Without a suspected offense, there is no power to force someone to provide their details. She cannot turn a private payment disagreement into a police-enforced ID check simply because the retailer is unhappy. Her suggestion that he could be listed as wanted is a bluff. Such markers apply to criminal suspects, not civil disputes. Using the threat of a criminal label to force compliance is a misuse of authority and shows she had no legal grounds from the start. If she truly believed a crime might have occurred, she would have needed to check for elements like dishonesty, making off without payment, and intent to avoid payment. Here, the auditor remained on the premises, attempted to pay, and disputed the method of payment, clearly a civil matter.
Please try to pay with this. They've run the post office and said that it doesn't really exist. You can't pay with that.
No.
He obviously won't give us our details. I've explained to him to a degree it is a civil matter. However, if he does make off and he doesn't give us our details, we're struggling for any sort of civil issue at a later date. Any details for making off without payment. Yeah. So I've explained if he does give us his details and we know where he is and we can contact him at a later date, hopefully this issue can get resolved. No. He's obviously not really wanting to do that at the minute.
Because it's a civil issue and it's nothing for the police to get involved
But
in.
you're still going to make off, aren't you? Technically without payment. But if we can get your details.
But I have paid.
But you haven't.
And it is their policy to accept the £20 coin.
Has he paid?
Policy? No, he hasn't.
Right, if you haven't paid and if you walk out this door now,
They've still got the money though.
just let me finish. If you walk out that door now, you are liable for an arrest because we don't have your details.
But you don't need them.
Well, I do
Because it's a civil issue.
But it's not, because a make off without payment is then a police matter.
The second officer immediately makes things worse by threatening arrest. This is unreasonable. The auditor was still inside, not attempting to leave, and was openly disputing the payment. There was no making off without payment because he had not left, and no intent to avoid paying was evident. The fact that he had already tried to pay with a Royal Mint coin further undermines any suggestion he intended to avoid payment. Under the Theft Act, both leaving and intent to avoid payment must be present. Neither existed here. By treating the situation as criminal, the officer revealed a lack of understanding.
If you walk out that door now, you know what it is. If you walk out that door now, you'll be getting arrested for make off without payment.
But there is an agreement with BP that the coin can be used.
Is there any other way that you can pay? Because we're going to sit here for hours arguing. I've been quite respectful to you. I appreciate you have to a degree, and I appreciate that from yourself. You haven't been argumentative with me, and I appreciate that you've been a normal human being. However, we need.
I don't intend to. No,
I know you appreciate
if you
that.
can pay for the fuel now by other means, then that's fair enough. It'll be the end of the matter.
Or if you can give us your details and we can deal with it at a slower time, we can offer you that. But if you're not willing to do either any, then we're struggling with what we have left to do.
Because we can't let you walk out that door without paying. But
we don't know where you live. You might not even be from around here. I'm not saying you are, but you know what I mean. We have people where they'll make off and then they won't give us our details, and then we're going to struggle. I'm still going to have that £20 of fuel, unfortunately, with this BP garage outstanding.
Which car is it?
But I have paid for the fuel.
But you haven't paid. Which one?
Right, we're going round in circles, aren't we?
We are, unfortunately. Yeah. We've agreed. We've reasoned with you now, and we've tried to say that if you give us your details, tell you where you live, we'll deal with it slow time. However, you then leave. We don't have your details. We don't know where you live. You could live in London for all we know. And then there's still this making off without payment because they will not accept this as payment.
So I don't have to identify for a civil issue.
It technically isn't a civil issue though, is it? When you leave and you don't pay, you haven't paid for your fuel. We've got the payment here, which isn't acceptable. So really, you haven't paid at the minute.
The entire interaction is based on a false assumption. The officers keep warning the auditor not to leave as if he is about to run off without paying, but that moment never happened. He was still in the store, still engaged, and had already attempted to pay with a legal tender coin. They were not responding to his actions, but to an imagined scenario. That is not law, it is fiction. The claim that they needed to force an ID check to confirm his identity is also weak. His vehicle registration was outside, providing a lawful and immediate way to obtain details if necessary. Instead, they ignored that option and insisted on demands they had no power to make. By treating a civil disagreement as grounds for arrest, they escalated rather than resolved the problem.
Because I've handed the coin over. So I haven't got that in my possession, and I've contacted BP head office before coming here.
Right, so was that today then, or?
No.
So when was that then? So you've contacted BP head office before you've come in?
Correct.
Right, so did you contact them today, or was it yesterday or last week, or?
It's not up to me to say that.
How's it money?
Do you understand what the £20 coin is?
No, that's why I'm confused.
Well, why are you threatening me for arrest then, if you don't know?
Because it's not money.
It is.
Right. We'll agree to disagree.
You don't know that. It is. It's legal tender, the same as a £20 note and a £10 note.
Right, and who did you speak to from the BP garage, the manager?
It's a Royal Mint who issued that £20 coin.
Right.
So it's the same money as any other money.
If you get someone on the phone to me who you've spoken to earlier, then we could kind of end the matter here, can't we?
But if it's a civil issue, I don't need to assist you.
At the minute, we don't know it's a civil matter.
I don't need to assist you in a civil issue.
But you do, because it then turns into a police matter because we don't know that coin.
The auditor had already done enough by pointing out that BP itself states the coin is valid. That should have ended the matter. Instead, the officer demands that he call BP directly, or else it becomes a police matter. This is unreasonable. He had no legal duty to assist her in that way, and refusing does not create a criminal offense. The role of the police is to assess facts and apply the law, not to push the burden onto the individual to prove their innocence. Her comment, "We don't know that coin," makes her position worse. A Royal Mint £20 coin is legal tender. If she and her colleagues do not recognize it, that is their problem, not the auditor's.
There's a civil
risk
agreement.
of being arrested because you haven't given us the details, and you're going to walk out that door, and it's technically a failure to pay.
But then it'll be a
Make off
civil.
without payment.
But then I'll sue you.
Well, that's fine. If you want to sue us, that's fine.
Unlawful
But
arrest.
like I said, we've been honest with you in terms of which way we can go. The staff here have been very honest, okay? And all I'm saying
Well, he
is, if you
hasn't.
get the person on the phone who you spoke to earlier with the agreement, then that could be the end of the matter. But as far as I do, then technically, if you walk out the door, there's going to be a make without payment.
He's already accepted to take it.
You haven't accepted to take it. No, haven't accepted to take it. You walk out that door, becomes a criminal matter, and you get arrested for make off without payment.
You give us your details.
You're refusing to give us your details, and we don't know that vehicle is yours because you're not.
But I've told you
Is it urgent?
that he said he would take the coin
But he isn't now, is
if
he?
I take my mask off.
Right, well, I wasn't here for that, so we have no witnesses, unfortunately, other than you and him. Right now, I can't view that.
Body camera.
But right now, I can't view that. At the end of the day, you've come in, you've paid for you've got your fuel, you've come in. This isn't a payable matter. Once you leave, we've offered you to give us your details and deal with it that way. For all I know, that vehicle could be registered to somebody else and lived in London. And how are we ever going to trace you?
But I don't need to assist you.
Once you leave the situation, it is making off without payment. I can't be any more reasonable with you and give you some sort of options that we can go
But I
with.
don't
You're
need
still
to assist
refusing
you.
to. Are you offering to give
Because
the
you're
staff, not myself, not my colleague, the staff your name and contact number?
No.
Right, so we have one option but to lock you up then.
Well, I've got a civil agreement in the background.
You can
So-
prove that at court.
I've
You
got
can prove that at court
That's
then.
fine. You can prove that at court.
Right, well, this moment in time, you're currently under arrest for making off without payment. You don't
But I
have to
haven't-
say anything,
but I haven't made off.
defense. We don't mention one questions in the later line. Oh, anything you do is maybe given evidence.
But I haven't made off though.
For your arrest as your confident factual investigation. Okay?
But I haven't made off.
You're in caution stuff.
And due to the fact you failed to provide details.
But I haven't made off.
Failed to provide details, yeah.
But I haven't made off.
Right, are we going to go calmly? Are we going to go quietly?
We would go calmly all the time.
Okay, well, do you want to walk with us then?
Of course.
Thank you. Just come with me, sir, please. Have you got anything in your pockets that's going to harm me or you? Just take them out. It's just a question we
Thank
ask
you very much.
everybody.
Can we just take your camera off as well, please?
Here, the situation shifts from poor judgment to clear abuse. The officers arrest the auditor for making off without payment while he is still inside the store, telling them, "I haven't made off." That statement alone should have ended the matter. The offense requires someone to have actually left without paying. He had not left, was not trying to leave, and made that clear. Yet they proceeded with the arrest. Legally, this is indefensible. The Theft Act requires both the act of leaving and the intent to avoid payment. Neither was present, as the auditor had offered valid payment and was still engaged in the dispute. The offense they cited did not exist at that moment, and they knew it.
Now, Auditor I Spy gives an update on his claim.
About 10 months ago, I walked out of those gates after being falsely arrested for using the £20 coin. The Chief Constable has paid out £4,000 in compensation, but unfortunately he did not apologise at any point, even taking him to court. He went all the way to court, we had the hearing date, and then the Chief Constable saw some sense and paid £4,000 in compensation, but no apology.
The case was taken to court, and the auditor walked away with a huge £3,999 payout plus legal costs. That's not pocket change. That's a serious sum of money for what should never have happened in the first place. It shows just how weak the police's position was once their actions were dragged under legal scrutiny. They knew they couldn't defend it, so they had no choice but to settle. But what makes this even more damning is that, according to the auditor, the Chief Constable, the head of the force, never once offered an apology. They handed over thousands of pounds of taxpayer money, acknowledged the wrongdoing with their wallet, but couldn't muster the basic professionalism to admit fault. That silence speaks volumes. It shows a culture where saving face is more important than accountability, and where public trust is treated as an afterthought. This
The case went to court, and the auditor received a payout of £3,999 plus legal costs. This is a substantial amount, reflecting how weak the police's position was once legally examined. They knew they could not defend their actions, so they settled. What makes this more concerning is that, according to the auditor, the Chief Constable never offered an apology. They paid thousands in taxpayer money, acknowledging the wrongdoing financially, but did not admit fault. This silence reveals a culture where protecting the force's image is prioritized over accountability and public trust. This case shows how minor situations can escalate into misconduct when officers do not understand the law they are meant to uphold. A simple civil disagreement over a coin, which should not have involved the police, became a wrongful arrest because authority and ego overruled common sense. Such escalation is not policing, it is bull-lying in uniform. The officers invented justifications as they went along, repeatedly asking, "What if you walk out without paying?" even though the auditor never indicated he would. They built their case on an imagined scenario, not on reality. This behavior points to a wit or cultural issue, using intimidation as a policing shortcut. Instead of applying knowledge and patience, they resorted to threats, detention, and arrest. When officers rely on fear rather than facts, it erodes public trust in the entire system. The aftermath, nearly £4,000 paid out from public funds, without an apology from the chief constable, shows their priority is protecting the force's reputation, not correcting officers' behavior. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, and subscribe. Your support really helps me continue creating independent content.